This past summer we made a trip to Washington D.C. with our family. I took my niece and my great-nephew with us, and we wandered around the mall for a couple of days, taking in all the sights. This first image is a street scene in Washington D.C., and in the distance you can see the Capitol building. We then visited the World War II Memorial, and as you can see from the images, it's a beautiful memorial, well thought out and put together. We then strolled down the mall towards the Lincoln Memorial, and I took this great picture of my niece and great-nephew on the steps looking towards the George Washington Monument down the mall. When we went into the Lincoln Memorial, we were amazed at how large Lincoln himself was, and I took a couple of really good shots showing the size and the very interesting ceiling inside the Lincoln Memorial. As we left the Lincoln Memorial, I took this picture of Jessica and Landon sitting on the steps of the monument. Wandering down the mall a little further, I ran across a Capitol Police officer, a mounted officer, who was giving some directions to some visitors. We then made our way over to the Vietnam War Memorial, where I took this picture of the bronze of the three soldiers standing together.
It is amazing and sad to see so many men who died and who fought for our country to keep us safe.
As we walked along the Vietnam Wall, I took this picture of the names engraved on the wall with the reflection of visitors in the wall itself. This next image is just one of many personal memorials to fallen family members who served during the Vietnam War. Seeing these personal memorials really drives home the depth of the loss for both the families and the country. We then went over to the Korean Memorial, which is a very beautiful and haunting memorial. It really gave you a sense of being there, although it truly can't ever replace being there. But it did give you a sense of what being on patrol was like. This is what Jessica had to say about the Korean War Memorial.
Walking around the statues of the soldiers at the Korean War Memorial was cool because everywhere you walked, there was always a soldier looking at you.
Before leaving the Korean Memorial, I made sure to get a picture of Jessica beside the engraved wall, and other visitors to the monument can be seen reflected in the wall behind her. Later that day, we went to the Jefferson Memorial, where I took this picture of Landon and this one of he and Jessica peeking out from behind the large columns inside the memorial. We traveled over to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, and you can see the Jefferson Memorial peeking out from behind the rock where Martin Luther King Jr. stands. Landon has this to say about his first trip to Washington, D.C.
This trip to Washington, D.C. was exciting because it was the first time for both my mom and I.
As we walked back down the mall to catch the metro, we stopped to watch these children playing in a beautiful old tree. Further down the mall, we stopped to take this picture of the Department of Agriculture before calling it a day. The next day, we went to Arlington National Cemetery, where we watched the changing of the guards. Arlington is a beautiful but sad and solemn place. This image is Robert E. Lee's home. His plantation was used as a field hospital during the Civil War, so it's appropriate that it is now a national cemetery, just one of many scattered across the country. We had a really great time in D.C. in the summer of 2013. I hope you enjoyed our tour.